Hey guys, John V here from PhoneArena. Right now you're watching our video review of the Lenovo Yoga Tablet 10. Well, it's definitely a peculiar looking tablet, very different from everything else there in this space, but more importantly is the fact that it's sporting a very affordable price point of only $300, which hopefully will actually attract consumers to it. It's definitely a very interesting looking thing, different from many of the slates out there, and that's the beautiful thing about it. But beyond that, we're pretty amazed that it has a good balance between its construction, choice of materials, and overall looks. The chassis is actually comprised out of two different materials. We have a textured polycarbonate backing here, which gives it a very clean look, very rigid in the hand too. And you have the aluminum alloy frame, which gives it its strength and sturdiness, and overall it blends really well with this. Besides the cylindrical handle here, the tablet's pretty streamlined and thin, which is a good mixture here. Now with the handle itself, that's where all the weight is distributed, so you want to hold it from there. It still feels pretty good when we're holding the tablet with two hands, and of course with one hand in operation, it's more ideal to actually hold it by the cylindrical handle. It's something we normally don't see with tablets, but it's nice that the Lenovo Yoga Tablet 10 here features a hinge here which you can lift up, so it's used as a kickstand. And seeing that it's part of the yoga family, that means that it can actually be used in several different ways. And the nice thing about that kickstand, it's adjustable and holds up pretty well at all angles. In addition to the stand mode that we see here, which is great for watching videos, we also have tilt mode where the tablet itself is raised at an angle, so it's a little bit more ideal when it comes to typing up messages with its on-screen keyboard. So the Lenovo Yoga Tablet 10 features a 10.1-inch 1280 by 800 IPS LCD display, which gives it a pixel density count of 149 pixels per inch. Obviously, it's not the sharpest display we've seen out there, but regardless of that, it's still effective enough for things like surfing the web, just because even with details, even when we're looking very closely at the display, it's still good. It has a good amount of clarity to it. At the same time, there are some other likable elements with the display. It has a very neutral color reproduction. Brightness output is okay, so when it comes to outdoor visibility, we don't have to actually shield it too much from the sun, and the viewing angles are also average. Now if we take a look around the tablet's trim, we find all the familiar ports and buttons. So that includes things like the micro USB port for charging data connectivity, the power button, which is circular in size, recessed flush though, but has a good spring response when you press it down. That's all on the left side tablet. On the right edge, we have 3.5mm headset jack, the volume control, the microphone, and behind the kickstand itself, we have that micro SD card slot to help supplement its internal storage capacity. And finally, it packs along a 5 megapixel autofocus rear camera, which actually incorporated into the cylindrical hinge. And in the front, it features a 1.6 megapixel front-facing camera. So the Lenovo Yoga Tablet 10 is running a customized Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean experience. Lenovo thinks that it's best to do away with the typical apps panel and instead have all the icons incorporated into the home screen. Now it still has all that personalization we expect out of Android, which is great, so you could change the home screen, the lock screen, add different widgets, but as you have more and more apps installed, it kind of just gets placed all over the place, so it's a little bit more disorganized. With most customized Android experiences, we're pretty much limited to up to 8 home screens, but seeing that they've gone away with the apps panel, we could add several more if we wanted to. Something new with the experience too is this thing called the Smart Sidebar. It's only accessed from the home screen. You just swipe from the right side towards the left, and we gain access to some small apps and even some settings such as the sound and visuals, which changes the contrast and even the audio experience depending on the modes you're using it in. The rest of the experience is pretty much familiar. In the top left corner, when we swipe down, we have the notifications panel. Top right, we have the connectivity features. And of course, we have the usual Android multitasking menu as well. The tablet's powered by a very unfamiliar processor. It's the quad-core 1.2 GHz MediaTek MT8125 processor coupled with 1 GB of RAM. So not really the most impressive set of hardware, but regardless of that, it still gives the tablet a good amount of performance. We don't notice too much slowdown or lag when it comes to basic tasks, so whether it's opening up applications, surfing the web, stuff like that, it handles it with a good amount of ease and finesse. But for more processor intensive things like 3D gaming, and every now and then here with the home screen with the live wallpaper activated, we'll see stutter or even some lag with its performance. We have the stock Android keyboard on this one here, so nothing really fancy with the layout. Very basic. We have a row for numbers if you do a long press. The best experience, of course, is if you're using it in tilt mode like so. But the thing is, there aren't these rubber stoppers on the bottom edge, so if you're using it in a flat surface, sometimes you'll notice the tablet slipping, sliding around if you're typing very quickly. We actually don't have any complaints about the web surfing experience just because it has all the qualities we want to find. So for example, you have some fast page loads, some nice navigational controls, so smooth kinetic scrolling and pinch zooming, and page rendering is pretty quick on the fly. It's preloaded with the Google Play Music application, so nothing different about it on other tablets. As far as the audio quality from its dual speakers left and right, it's not that strong, and to tell you the truth, it just sounds a little bit subdued. Luckily, the tablet supports all the popular video codecs out of the box, so DivX, MPEG-4, H.264, and XVID all supported by it, and you can tell the performance really good with this video that's in 1080p resolution. On top of that, they offer this neat multitasking option here where the video is layered on top of whatever you're doing, so you can actually continue watching a video while doing something else. The camera app has a good balance between shooting modes and manual controls. So as far as the shooting modes are concerned, you have things like HDR, panoramic, and even a burst mode. And as far as those manual controls are concerned, you can adjust things like the ISO, the exposure, and even the white balance you want. Now the trick is when it comes to taking photos, it's just not to cover up the camera just because it's placed on the bottom left corner here. So as you're snapping, you just gotta remind yourself to not cover it up. Sadly, its 5 megapixel autofocus camera snaps up some very unflattering looking photos. We're not going to be too critical just because of the tablet so that you at least have the option of taking photos, but it just doesn't have enough of the quality elements to make it appealing. So for example, details are slim and almost non-existent, very grainy at sometimes, and colors are rather washed out looking, and under lower lighting conditions, you could pretty much forget it. There's just a lot of noise and details are out the door. Worse yet is its 1080p high definition video recording quality. It's just horrendous, painful at even, just because details are lacking, very grainy, non-existent, very soft in tone. Colors, of course, still are washed out looking. The exposure is very jumpy too. And the only thing going for it is just probably the clear audio recording. If there's one thing that this tablet's going to be known for, it's going to be its battery life. It's just superb and outstanding, probably the best that we've seen in the tablet so far. Now it's packing a 9,000 milliamp hour battery, and with that, we're able to get up to 3.5 days of normal usage from a full charge, which is impressive. And at the same time, even with heavier usage for power users, you're going to get by through 2 days of usage out of it. Seriously though, the $300 price point attached to the tablet is pretty impressive. You're not spending a whole lot of money. At the same time, it has a very interesting design that's solid with its construction, and it's probably the best tablet we've checked out when it comes to battery life. It's not specs heavy or feature filled or has the best performance all the key categories, but at $300, you're getting some much needed value out of this tablet. So if you guys want to learn more about the Lenovo Yoga Tablet 10, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. It's John V. Thanks for watching.